two local councillors to finish off. Thank you for their patience. First we're going to have John Haywood. Script from your Facebook. There's not a lot of information on you there, John, on the internet. John's a local Labour councillor for Ringwood, just down the road, just down the A31 across the forest. Describes himself as an engineer, father, Labour town councillor and trade unionist. He's involved with the New Forest Association of Local Councils and New Forest Consultative Panel. So a round of applause for John, please. Thank you everybody, and thank you to New Forest for Europe for putting on such a fantastic event today. I hope everybody's enjoyed themselves today, have you? Yeah. Good. Well, one of the curses of appearing so late in a roster of speakers like I have today is that everybody else has made all your points already. So I think that's probably beneficial for you here, because I'm not going to go on and on and on and repeat the same points that have been made today. As was mentioned, I'm a Labour councillor here in Ringwood, a Labour town councillor. I know that for those of us here who are really, really passionate Remainers, being a Labour councillor might be a little bit of a sticky wicket, and I understand that. My party has had some real challenges with the whole Brexit situation. It's just so divisive. David Cameron really unleashed a massive divisive tsunami on the country when he went to that referendum back in 2016, which was purely to manage his own internal politics in the Tory party. And since then, we have been sweeping up the mess as a nation. We are very, very divided. And this is the note that I really want to pick up on in my little speech here, is that we're passionate Remainers. We're here today to make a case for Remain. We're members of different political parties here and members of no political party. We're supporters of different political parties here. Some of us may be natural supporters of no political party and just be listening to the political arguments around this. But I think New Forest for Europe and the other organisations that you see campaigning for Europe across the country show that this particular issue cuts right across politics. There are Remainers in all parties. And the fact that we can do things on a cross-party political or a no-party political basis really is a strong point of this campaign to remain in the EU. So, I think we're all very enthusiastic Remainers here. But one thing that we do need to think about when this whole thing's over, and who knows where it's going to go from here. I mean, every day fills me with more dread with what's going on in Westminster. We don't know where it's going to go at all. But what I do know is that after this whole thing has finished, we, the country, politicians, everybody else, are going to have to do a hell of a lot of work to bring this divided nation back together. And that is going to be hard. That is going to be a hard thing. This divide runs across communities, it splits families. We heard about the previous speaker mentioning arguments around the political table. Once we've sorted this problem out, however we sort this problem out, we really need to focus on bringing the country back together. And I think that's something we shouldn't lose sight of here today, as enthusiastic Remainers, that we will need to go on and do that. There are people in the Leave camp who are looking for a quick fix to Brexit now. Having sat in this room for, 3 hours now, are you suffering from Brexit fatigue? You are? Yes. I think we all are suffering from Brexit fatigue. And certainly the country as a whole and people who are not politically engaged are suffering from Brexit fatigue. And there are lots of arguments for various ways to end this quickly. certainly the Leave camp has its own version, the strategy that Mr. Cummings is pushing of how to end this quickly. There are strategies on the Remain side to end this quickly. Either way, it doesn't end. If the country follows the hard Brexit, get it done, Cummingsite, Johnson strategy, then we've got to pick up, put our community back together. We have to get the 48%, which actually might be 52 or 53% now because of things have changed. Get those back together and get the country back together. If we could sort things out quickly for the Remain side of the argument, we still have a huge job in putting the country back together. So whatever road we go down from here on Brexit, and I really hope personally that we go down a road that leads to Remain, let's not forget that we have to put the country back together and end the divide afterwards. So I mentioned earlier on that the whole EU issue challenged the Labour Party a bit, and it did. People like me in the Labour Party are passionate pro-Europeans. My local party over in New Forest West, of which I'm the vice chair, are, on the whole, passionate Europeans. Like any political party, there's different viewpoints, and we settle it internally and move on. I had the honour last year of sitting in a room at Labour Party conference up in Liverpool last year with a couple of hundred other delegates and spending 6 hours arguing about our policy to get it shifted to get a people's vote on the party policy. We fought and we won, and that's moved us to a place today where Labour Party policy is for a people's vote in all circumstances, with a credible Leave option and a credible Remain option. That is our preferred approach for solving the division, to make sure that both sides have a place in this, both sides have their preferred outcome on the paper, and we don't end up with an unimplementable referendum like we did in 2016 and all the chaos that that caused. Chaos. There's a word. Chaos is a really good word for what we're seeing at Westminster at the moment. I'm sure you'll agree. It's, as I mentioned earlier, it's horrible to watch, and it fills me with dread almost every day seeing what goes on. And I'm sure that you feel the same about what's going on at Westminster. This government and its anti-democratic tendencies genuinely worries me. It really, really concerns me. Surely the sovereignty that some people who voted Leave and say they wanted to regain, surely prorogued in Parliament for the longest time in 90 years, is not the way that you regain parliamentary sovereignty. Surely trying to ram this issue through is not the way that you regain your sovereignty at all. So I'm really concerned with the Johnson government and its wild, chaotic, and downright dangerous anti-democratic tendencies. And I think that we need, as Remainers, to go on fighting, making sure this issue stays right up there in people's minds through the next few weeks, because we are going to fight on our hands. That's just where we are. So looking at the Johnson government and all its chaos, I'd like to just close by modifying the words of one of my political heroes, and that's Neil Kinnock, and the words that he spoke 34 years ago, almost to the day, down in Bournemouth, of all places, just down the road. So the Brexiteers, well, they began with far-fetched promises of sovereignty. They were pickled in a rigid dogma, a code, and they stuck with that through the years. Outdated, irrelevant to the real needs of the people. And we ended up with a Tory government, playing fast and loose with that constitution to achieve their extremist dreams. Thank you everybody for listening to me, and thank you very much, New Forest for Europe.